If you are not feeling awake during the day and you're having trouble sleeping, get the sunlight exposure that we just talked about. But in addition to that, if you want to become an early riser, for instance, and you want to feel more awake during the early part of the day, by getting that light exposure and exercising early in the day, you will, after 2 or 3 days, you will naturally start to wake up earlier in the day. And that's because these clock mechanisms have shifted. It's like setting the clock earlier as opposed to delaying the clock. And that takes us to a somewhat complicated but very important aspect to all this, which is what sets the clock and keeps it anchored. The main thing is that bright light early in the day. The other thing is sunset, when the sun is also at low solar angle, low, close to the horizon. By viewing sunlight at that time of day in the evening or afternoon, depending on what time of year it is and where you are in the world, these melanopsin cells, these neurons in your eye, signal the central circadian clock that it's the end of the day. There was a really nice study that showed that viewing sunlight around the time of sunset, doesn't have to be just crossing the horizon, but circa sunset, within an hour or so of sunset, prevents some of the bad effects of light in preventing melatonin release later that same night. So let me repeat this. Viewing light early in the day is key. Viewing light later in the day when the sun is setting or around that time can help protect these mechanisms, your brain and body, against the negative effects of light later in the day. So let me talk about how you would do that. You'd go view the sunset, or you would go outside in the late afternoon or evening. Again, if you safely can do that with sunglasses off, you will. If you need to wear sunglasses, fine, but it will take probably 100 to 1,000 times longer with dark sunglasses than if you take them off. Again, if you want to do this through a window at work, that's fine, but it'll take 50 times longer. So the best thing to do is just to get outside for a few minutes, anywhere from 2 to 10 minutes, also in the afternoon. Having those two signals arriving to your central clock, that your body, your internal world knows when it's morning and knows when it's evening, is tremendously powerful. Maybe think about it this way. Every cell in your body needs glucose and energy. It needs, whether or not it gets that from meat or it gets it from ketones or it gets it from carbohydrates or fruit or vegetables, doesn't matter. It is eventually converted into a certain form of energy that all your cells use. But you don't take glucose, you don't take bread or a steak or a nice orange and shove it in your ear. You put it in your mouth, it goes into your stomach, it's digested, and then that resource is distributed to all the cells of your body. Every cell in your body needs oxygen, and you don't put a hose through your nostril or through your ear or through some other orifice in your body. You inhale air, and it's then distributed via the lungs to the cells in your bloodstream, and then it's distributed to all the organs of your body. Every cell and organ in your body needs light information. And the way to get that light information to all those cells, because you have a thick skull and dark, inside of you is dark inside your skin, there's no sunlight getting in there, is by viewing sunlight with your eyes at the 2 times a day that I'm referring to. Okay, that's the only route. There was a study published in Science, an excellent journal, well over 10 years ago, that showed that light shown on the back of the knee could set these circadian rhythms. That study was retracted, and unfortunately, most people don't know that it was retracted. There were some experimental flaws that people were actually viewing light through their eyes. That study was repeated. Turns out there is no extraocular photoreception in humans. Whatever somebody tells you that light to the skin or light to the wherever is beneficial for your health, we can talk about that, but there's no way that light information is setting your clocks. You need these cells in your eyes to perceive or to see light at the particular times of day that I'm referring to. Some animals, like snakes and other reptiles, actually have a hole in the top of their skull to get light information directly to their pineal to suppress melatonin. We don't have that hole. I mean, most of you don't have holes in your skull. These holes in your skull that we call the sockets for the eyes are actually there primarily to allow light information to this central clock. And then vision and pattern vision and color vision came much later in evolution. We know this on the basis of genetic studies we could discuss in a future podcast.